Okay, so I have one practice test which has 50 questions, and all these questions are related to the GCP PD exam. So let's try to attempt all these questions and let's see how many, what is the correct answer. So question number one, Data Couch, our company, receives data feed of log files daily at 9 p.m. EST from the upstream system. Okay, the log file data contains the customer visit information on datacouch.io website. The data goes into the BigQuery table named as customer visits. Since data has been growing from last 3 years, that is from the inception of the project, therefore business users who query this table have started reporting about the performance issue while pulling monthly reports from the table. What is the best corrective action that should be taken to overcome the issue in the company? Okay, so there is a one company that is sending some log files, and the log files are getting stored into the BigQuery, and from the last 3 year data is getting getting very huge. So when the business users or run some query on the particular table, it took some time, or they face some performance issues. So how should we what is the corrective action we can take? Generally when we face this kind of issue, the only solution is to to create a partition, partition and the clustering. These are the two concepts in the BigQuery which increase the performance. So let's look at the option. BI reports in Data Studio need to be simplified. So that is wrong. Nothing related with the BI reports. We need to improve the query performance. Create a separate table for storing data for last 1 month and query data from past 1 month. They told that just for the last 1 month create a separate table, and so that the person can run the query only for that particular table. That will work, but it will increase the cost. So it is not the best, but we will see the other option. Don't store historical data in BigQuery. They told that only just store the current month data because they want to pull the monthly report. So only store the monthly data, but that is wrong, because if in case we need the future data as well, we can't get. So option C is wrong, option A is wrong. Create a partition of table customer visit based on calendar dimension. So that looks okay, because if we create a partition and for the particular month, the query will scan only a particular set of records in the table. It will not scan every records. So partition will help in performance. So partition D looks okay to me. Next question. Which one of the following is not a valid way to partition tables in BigQuery? So they told that we need to perform partition in the table, but what is the valid way and what is not a valid way? So generally partition, when we have to do the partition, we did the partition on the basis of a timestamp, date or day timestamp. So based on ingestion time, that looks okay. So we generally did the partition on the basis of time. Based on timestamp column, that is also okay. Based on date column, that is also okay. Based on string column, that doesn't look okay. Based on integer range, that is also numeric field, so we can also do the partition. For this, generally on the string column we will do the clustering, not the partition. So string column could be the answer. We will see at the end what could be the correct answer after once all the 50 question will complete, it will show us the result. How many maximum number of partition are possible in the BigQuery partition table? So on one table maximum we can make 4,000 partitions. So that is standard which one should we have to know. If we go to the official documentation, we will found that we have maximum partition on one table could be 4,000, and maximum clustering it could be any there is no limit, but in number of partitions is 4,000. Next question. Which Google Cloud product is based on the open source project Airflow? So Airflow is basically our workflow orchestration tool, and they told that out of these 5 Google Cloud product, which is based on the Airflow. So Google Beam is not. Google Cloud Composer, yeah, Google Cloud Composer is the orchestration tool which manage the workflow, which schedule the workflow, which schedule the pipelines, jobs, etc. And these are built on the top of the Airflow. So Google Composer is Google Dataprog is not on their Airflow, not even BigQuery, not even Dataflow. So Composer is the correct answer. Which language is used in the Cloud Composer for the orchestration? So generally we use the Python. So Python is the correct answer. We not use the Java and we not use the Scala, shell script, .NET. These are wrong. So Python is the correct answer. So generally we use the Python for the only. I think only Python is used for the Cloud Composer. Which of the following Google Cloud product allow us to implement multi-cloud strategy? That is, out of which of this product we can use over the multi-cloud? So Dataflow, so no, Dataflow is only for GCP. Cloud Composer, yes, Cloud Composer is for the Airflow, and Airflow facility on Azure as well, on AWS as well, on Google GCP as well. So it is a multi-cloud, that is okay. BigQuery is only for the Google Cloud. PubSub is only for the Google Cloud. Anthos is a multi-cloud. Anthos is basically a you can say, let's suppose if we have multiple application, right, some application on our own premises and some application on our Google Cloud. So ideally, like if we have to manage the application, what we will do, we will manage the application on Google Cloud separately, and we will manage the application on our own premises separately. So Anthos is act as a middleware. Only by using this Anthos facility, we can manage the application at both the side. That is, just for the single configuration we can manage the application which is on the Google Cloud and which is on the on premises. So this is also the multi-cloud. So these two looks okay. Question number 7. The data engineering team at Data Couch has set up a pipeline, okay, on Google Cloud platform to ingest real-time Twitter feeds into the data lake using Cloud PubSub. Okay, so there is a pipeline and they are feeding some real-time tweets, and that tweets are going to the Cloud PubSub and then Dataflow and then BigQuery. Okay, the tweets are in different language, okay, but management wants to retrieve near real-time tweets in English language, okay, which has hashtag Data Couch. As a data engineer in that team, we would be your recommended approach to address the problem. Okay, so there is a pipeline. All the tweets are coming into the pipeline, and the tweets are coming for the multiple language. We just want to filter the English language tweet. So how we will do? First option is ingest data into the BigQuery and perform filtering using BigQuery SQL afterwards. So they told that first insert all the tweets into the BigQuery, and then we will filter using the SQL query, only filter the English tweet. That is wrong, because we want to retrieve the English language tweets real time. So that is on a way itself, neither after loading the data, but during the processing itself we want to put some filters. So option A is wrong. Perform filtering in Google Cloud PubSub. They told that in the PubSub itself do some filtering. That is wrong. Generally in PubSub is not used for the filtering, it is just for passing the message from one application to another. So option B is wrong. Use Pardot method in Cloud Dataflow to perform filtering of tweets. So that looks perfectly okay, because there are three things only: PubSub, source, Cloud Dataflow, and BigQuery. In BigQuery we can't do the filtering, because that is a destination, and as per the question we need to do the real time. So real time is something we need to perform in the Cloud Dataflow itself, right? So Pardot is you can say a Apache Beam function. It generally takes the input and it applies some function on that, and it will generate the output. So whatever the function we want, so we can write our custom function and we can pass that our custom function into the Pardot itself. So that looks okay. Replace Dataflow with Dataproc. That is totally wrong, because they told that change the Dataflow service to Dataproc. No, that is wrong. So option C looks okay. Which of the following option in Google Cloud is not a serverless? So which is not the serverless? BigQuery is the serverless. Okay, Dataflow is also serverless. Cloud Function is also serverless. Dataproc is not the serverless, because in Dataproc we create the cluster, and we have to manage the cluster. We have to manage everything. But in other options we don't have to manage. So these are the serverless. Serverless means we don't have to manage. Ideally there is server at the back end, but we don't have to manage. So Dataproc is the correct answer. Which GCP product is best suited to migrate existing on-premises Hadoop cluster? So generally, if we have to migrate our existing on-premises Hadoop cluster to the cloud, we have two options, that is a data proc and data flow. So but they told that with minimal changes. So if we want to migrate as is, so that whatever the jobs we have write, so no change is required, then we will always use the cloud data proc. But if we can rewrite our job, then we always use the data flow. BigQuery is wrong, Composer is wrong, Anthos is wrong. Only two options left, data flow and data proc. But we want to like perform with the minimal changes, so then we will use the data proc, because data flow proc also like has the Hadoop at the back end, like only the Hadoop job will run. So data proc is the correct answer. You are a data engineer who is responsible for writing data validation, data filtering, data imputation. Okay, so we are data engineer and we are doing 3 steps: data validation, data filtering and data imputation. Okay, these are some jobs in the data pro cluster. Your boss would like to execute those jobs in automated manner. So we have 3 jobs, okay, but we want to our boss wants to run this job in an automated manner. So how we will do? So control M is not the solution, shell scripting, okay, OZ is not the solution. So generally like we create a template, and well, like in that template we will define okay what all the jobs we want to run, and using that template we can automate the process. So correct answer is cloud data pro workflow templates, because it is a data pro cluster. So cloud data pro workflow templates. Question number 11. You are working for a taxi service, okay, you need to perform some data cleaning and data analysis task. Okay, so cleaning and analysis. The data analyst team is not having programming skills. Okay, so this is the keyword, they don't have any programming skill, but they are good in SQL. Okay, fine. And there are no system administrator available to set up cluster. Okay, so we can't set up the cluster, so data proc is wrong. Which technology should you choose? Okay, so we can't set up the cluster, data proc is wrong. We don't have the programming skills, so data flow is also wrong. And for cleaning, PubSub is also wrong. So only one option left, that is the BigQuery, because they are good in SQL, and on SQL like we can perform the on BigQuery like we can use the standard SQL and the legacy SQL. So BigQuery is the correct answer. Which type of job is not supported in the data pro class? So in the data pro, like generally MapReduce, Hadoop, Hive, Pig, Spark job supported. So Flink is not supported. So Spark, MapReduce, Hive, Pig, all these are supported in the data pro, but Flink is not supported. AI team at your company has implemented a computer vision model. Okay, that is a computer vision model which is responsible for detecting emotions of the employee by taking regular picture of the employee. Okay, the model was having high accuracy during training phase. Sorry, but it is not very accurate after deploying. So training accuracy is high, and you can say after deployment the accuracy is very low. The data size is limited during the training time. They tell that data we have the limited data size. Okay, what method should we implement to overcome this issue? Overcome this issue means like this accuracy issue. What method we do? So implement data augmentation and retrain the model. Yeah, that is perfectly okay. Like we need to perform data augmentation, because they told that we have the limited data, and as part of the data augmentation, what we will do is we will generate more data. Let's suppose we have one image. So what we will do, we will rotate that image, and so now we have 2 images. We will like again rotate them, left rotate, right rotate, zoom in, zoom out the image, and we will like create multiple copies. So data augmentation is perfectly okay, and the data will be increases, so the model will be get retrained. That is perfectly okay. Compress the model effectively. That is totally wrong, because we have to train the model, we have to fix the model. They told the compress the model. Compress the model is like we have the model, and the model size is like very large, and that's why they are not performing. No, this is wrong. Reduce dimension of the model and retrain it. No, even if we reduce the dimension, like accuracy even get decrease. Pickle the model, that is totally wrong. Generally like because we have to correct the model, not the like pickle the existing model. Changing computer vision algorithm should be next step. They told that change the algorithm, but no, this is not the right thing. Don't change the algorithm. Algorithm is correct. Computer vision algorithm is perfect for this kind of scenario. Only one option left, that is the data augmentation, because we have the limited size. Which of the following method is not used for overcoming overfitting concepts in a deep learning model. They told that we have the overfitting problem, and we have to overcome that, but out of which of this method which is not used for the overcoming overfitting? Dropout, yes, correct. They are used for the like if the model is get overfit, we generally implement the dropout layers. That is correct. Regularization is correct. L1 regularization is used to like overcome the overfitting problem. That is correct. Data augmentation is also correct. Reduce the size of data. If we reduce the size of the data, it will create the overfitting problem. It will not even overcome the overfitting problem. It will create the overfitting problem. So reduce the size of data is the answer. Reduce size of network, no. So reduce size of data should be the answer, because if you reduce the size of the data, it will overfit the model, because now it has only few data, and it will like guess the pattern, and it will like make a pattern only for those images. It will not it will not create a generalized pattern. So it will create a overfitting issue, neither it will like solve the overfitting issue. Question number 15. Which of the following option is used for the feature selection? Okay, so which feature we need to select? So which option we will use? Dropout technique, no. Dropout is not for the feature selection. L1 regularization, L1 regulation is the correct. L2 is not. Hybrid L1, no. Feature pruning is to cut the features, so that is wrong. But here it is, we need to select the feature. Let's suppose we have the 1000 features. So on what basis like we will select out of 1000 feature, let's suppose, so which features we want like higher weights, which feature we want zero weights, so which feature we want to give priority. So that comes under the L1 regularization, because like let's suppose we have the 5 feature, and we know out of 5 feature the 2 features have more impact on the output. So in that case we always use the L1 regularization, that will give more weights to those 2 feature and give very less weights to or even 0 weights to the other features, so that they will not get our output will not get impacted by the other features. Our output get impacted by the main 2 features. We will generally use L2 regulation when all the features create equal impact, then we will use the L2 regularization. L1 regularization only used if few features has more impact on the output rather than all the features. So L1 regulation is the correct answer. Your BI team member reported that the Data Studio report is not getting refreshed, and they are not able to see data updated in the last 1 hour. What should you do? What could be the most likely issue? So generally like if in the Data Studio like the reports are not getting refreshed, the issue generally because of the cache. So data is cached by the Data Studio, that is the correct. Connection not the issue. BigQuery table have been updating issue, no. Upstream system not be sending data, no. Browser cookie, totally wrong, no issue with the browser. So data is cached by the Data Studio. Generally what happen like in the data Studio we have like so many options, like data get refreshed after 50 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. So we have multiple options. So by default it is 1 hour. So I think yes, by default is 1 hour or 1.5 hour. I think it's 1 hour. So if we see that from last 1 hour the data is not getting updated, it is because it is using the cache data. If after 1 hour only it will like refresh the data. So to sort that issue, so this is the issue. If we want the data to be updated even less than 1 hour, then we can like change the data freshness rate in the Data Studio setting and change it to like 15 minutes. Then after every 15 minutes data will be like reports will be get updated with the latest data. Question number 17. Out of the following, which data format is not supported for loading the data? Okay, so AVR format is supported by the BigQuery. Protobuf is not supported. Parquet is supported. ORC, JSON. ORC is basically like a row column data, something optimal row column, I think. So row column data is also supported. AVR format supported. Parquet format supported. JSON format is supported. So with these formats we can like if we have the data in this format, we can easily load the data into the BigQuery. But if we have the Protobuf format, we can't load the data into the BigQuery. This is not supported. Protobuf is not supported. out of one of the upstream system is sending database data in CSV format to Google Cloud. Okay, so we are sending CSV file to the Google Cloud storage. The data needs to be analyzed into the BigQuery. Okay, the data has some corrupted records as well. Okay, what should be done to ensure that the data is imported correctly and corrupted data is also handled gracefully? Like one option is that like directly load the data into the BigQuery and or either like load the corrupted record as well, or either discard the corrupted record. But in the question it is mentioned that we need to ensure that only correct records will be loaded into the BigQuery, but we should not discard the corrupted record, but we should handle the corrupted record. Handle means like we should like store those corrupted record somewhere for the later analysis. So that is so something related. We need to use some kind of pipeline. So use Data Pro cluster to discard corrupted records. No, that is totally wrong. We don't want to discard, we want to handle them. Use Dataflow to discard, totally wrong. Use Dataflow to store corrupt records into the dead records table. Generally we like store the corrupted records into the dead data table so that we can like analyze it later, and store the main records into the BigQuery. That is perfectly okay. Use Data Pro cluster to store corrupt records in the dead record table in BigQuery and store good records in the main BigQuery. That is also okay. Use Stackdriver, handle corrupt record and set up an alert. No, totally wrong. So Dataflow and Data Pro both are the correct answer, but generally like it is recommended to use the Dataflow. So Dataflow is correct. While loading data into the BigQuery, we want to allow 5% data to be invalid out of 1 million records. What is the best way to implement this? Okay, so we are loading the data into the BigQuery and we want that maximum 5% of the invalid data can be loaded into the BigQuery, but if there is more than 5% of the data, it should not load. If there is more than 5% of the invalid data, it should not load. So what is the best way to implement this? Use Datapro to filter data while ingesting it into BigQuery. No. Use Cloud PubSub to filter data while ingesting. Cloud PubSub is totally wrong. Datapro is still okay, like we can create a pipeline and we can write some logic. Use max bad records parameter in API and to specify allowed number of bad records. That is perfectly okay, because no need to like set up a Datapro pipeline for this activity. We have like there is a one field that is a max bad records, that is how many bad records can be loaded into the BigQuery. So we can set by default it is 0, that is if there is any bad records it will be rejected. So by default it is 0. So if we can set this parameter, and that is 5%, and so 5% of the data, 5% of the invalid 5% of invalid records will be loaded. So that is okay. Use min good records parameter. No, min good records is not record. Good records, all the good records can be loaded, but bad records only 5%. So we need to use the max bad records parameter. That is okay. Question number 20. Which federated data source is not allowed in BigQuery? So federated data source means like data is stored somewhere, and using the BigQuery we are just running a query, and that query will go to that external table. External table means external source, and will like generate an output. So that means data not stored into the BigQuery, but data is somewhere else, but we are issuing the query from the BigQuery, and the query go to that particular source, and it will get the output and show the output into the BigQuery itself. So which federated data source is not allowed in BigQuery? Okay, so which Google Drive is okay, because Google Drive has the CSV format. We can store the file into the CSV format. That is okay. Cloud SQL is also okay. Cloud storage is also okay. So out of Bigtable and data store, I'm not sure whether the Bigtable is not supported or the data store. I think data store is not supported. So we will see whether it is correct or not. But last three are perfectly okay. Cloud storage, Google Drive, and Let's Cloud SQL. These are supported as a federated store. I think Bigtable also supported, but data store is not supported. Yeah, let's see. What is an exponential backup strategy? Okay, so exponential backup strategy generally means, let's suppose we as an end user, and we are uh, trying to fetch one website, and that is on the server, and server is not responding. So there is some issue at the server end. So if we continuously try to hit that website, so what it will do is, it will create the network congestion as well, and many other problems. So generally, we will use this strategy, that is the exponential backup strategy. What it will do is, we give a retry, right? We try to access the one website on the server, or we try to access the server not respond. Then when we the next time we again try, what it will do is, it will exponentially increase the wait time. So let's suppose earlier it is 1 second, then it will increase, the next time it will wait for the 2 second, so that the network should not get impacted. In the third try, it will wait for the 3 second. In the fourth try, it will wait till 4 second. In the fifth try, it will wait till the 5 second. So the wait time gradually increases, that is the exponentially increases. So error handling strategy for network application, that is perfectly correct, because that is generally used for the error strategy. If there is any error in the network, then we use this exponential backup strategy, that is the waiting time should be increased exponentially, so that user will not start hitting the server continuously. Load testing strategy wrong, penetration testing wrong, caching testing wrong, unit testing wrong. You are building a model, 1 minute. Sorry, you are building a model to forecast the weather. Okay, which of the following model architecture is best suited for the requirement? Okay, so we are forecasting the weather. Forecasting means that is the future prediction, right? So future prediction. So which algorithm we have to use? So CNN, that is a convolution neural network. No, totally wrong. RNN, that is a recurrent neural network, that is perfectly okay. RNN, LSTM generally we use for the time series data, when we have to forecast about the future, what could be the a share price in the future, what could be the tomorrow's weather, or the weather after 1 year. So for that, if we have the time series data, we have to think about the for forecasting about the future, then we will use the RNN model. So RNN is a multi-layer perceptron, that is wrong. Logistic regression, that is a simple classification, wrong. Decision tree, that is also wrong. So RNN is correct answer. Which of the following model cannot be used for handling non-linear data? So if the data is non-linear, which model we will use? So SVM can be used for the non-linear data. Neural network definitely used for the non-linear data. Decision tree also used for the non-linear data. Ordinary least square, it is used only for the linear data. It is same as of the linear regression, so which is used for the linear data. So that is correct answer. You are working for a BFSI client. Okay, they have stringent requirements with respect to the security. They want to implement BigQuery as a data warehousing solution. What should be taken care while implementing this requirement? Okay, they want to implement BigQuery data warehousing, but their main problem is security. So how we will do some IAM policy rules? So what option we can do? So implement IAM roles, that is perfectly, because by implementing IAM roles, we can implement the security features. Encrypt data using customer managed keys, that is perfectly okay. Though even BigQuery, the Google will automatically encrypt the data, but it is more recommended if we provide our own customers keys. Implement views for controlling low level security, that is perfectly okay, so that if the customer only want that particular data, so we should not give the access for whole the table, we should only give the access for the particular view. use tag driver audit logging to determine policy violation. That is perfectly okay. If we like enable the tag driver audit logging, then if there is any security breach, then we can like check the logs. That is perfectly okay. Use logging for tracing and debugging information. So trace and debugging information is not looks okay. So for the security, first 4 option looks okay, and in the question itself they told that more than one option can be correct. Question number 25. You are working for a retail sector client. They have stringent requirement with respect to the cost saving. In the previous question, the requirement is for the security. Now the requirement is the cost saving. They want to implement BigQuery. Okay. What should we taken care while implementing this requirement? Okay. More than one options can be correct. Perform data exploration using preview option. That looks okay. Like if we want to preview the data, so better preview the data into the preview mode rather than running the whole query if we want to just look at the data. Hyphen dry run query in CLI to understand the cost involved. That is definitely okay, because before running any query it is always recommended to use the hyphen dry run command. It will generally like tell us how much data it will scan, and on the basis of the data we can calculate the cost. Use pricing calculator. That is perfectly okay. Partition data by calendar dimension. That is perfectly okay. If we want to save the cost, we can partition the data. Use limit clause. So limit clause, if we think limit clause can be also implemented, but it is not the correct option here, because if we put limit is equal to 1, 10, 20, we will only see 20 records, right? But if we want to see 1000 records, 2000 records, right? So what we will do? So limit is not the correct answer. The first 4 is the correct answer to save the cost. Your client is running a data pro cluster. So it is a data pro cluster. As data is growing within the cluster, so is the operating cost of the cluster. Okay, so what advice will you give to saving the cost? They told that they are using data pro cluster, but data is growing, and that's why the cluster cost is also growing. So what should we do to save the cost? Use pre-immutable VMs in secondary worker. That is perfectly okay, because in the data pro cluster we have 2 kinds of VM, primary workers or secondary workers. So generally it is recommended that for the primary workers we use the non pre-immutable VM, and for the secondary workers we can use the pre-immutable VM, so that if the data grows and there is a need of the cluster, then it will use the secondary workers for the processing, and the secondary workers are the pre-immutable VMs. That is only valid for the 24 hours, and that after that they will get destroyed. So that is perfectly okay. Use pre-immutable VM in secondary worker for adding more capacity, and it for the graceful shutdown. That is perfectly okay to do the graceful shutdown. Graceful shutdown means like if they are using some task, and the VM trying to shut down, first they will complete the task and then they will shut down. If we use a forceful shutdown, then they will not complete the task, they will directly get shut down. Use pre-immutable VM for real-time applications. So for real-time application, generally it is not recommended to use the pre-immutable VM, because the data is coming, and in the real time if we use the pre-immutable VM, the pre-immutable VM get shut down, then it will not handle the data. So that is wrong. Cluster should be combination of both pre-immutable and non pre-immutable VM. That is perfectly okay. Like it is recommended, like for the main we can use the combination of both pre-immutable and non pre-immutable VM. Prefer non pre-immutable VM for long running. That is totally wrong. Even for the long running job, we always recommended the no, that is correct. That is prefer non pre-immutable VM for the long running job, but it will not save the cost, right? We have to save the cost. None of the above. That is wrong. So 1 and A and C looks okay. Which type of window is not supported? So in the data flow streaming pipelines, like we have the various windows concept. So which is not supported? So let's see which is supported. Sliding window is supported. Session window is also supported. Tumbling window is also supported. User window is not supported. So user window is the correct. Sensors are deployed on the state highways in San Diego state for detecting traffic and accident. Okay. Due to the complex network of traffic, some of the events from these sensors are delayed. What is the best way to discard the late arriving? events while performing window analytics in data flow. Okay, so we want to discard the late arriving data. So what we can do, perform single window as it handles it internally. That is wrong. If we create a single window, then how we can know that which data is late, because all the data will arrive in a single window. So that is wrong. Use watermark concept. So watermark concept is totally correct. Like let's suppose like we like use the watermark, and if we get the watermark at the later time, then you by looking at the watermark we can easily tell that okay, this message is like received late. So that is okay. And use trigger concept, no. Use session based window concept, no. Session window based concept is wrong. Use tumbling window concept for late arriving events, no. Tumbling window only used for to handle the late arriving, not for to discard the. So generally we use the watermark concept to discard, because watermark concept is used to first analyze which messages are arriving late, and then we can easily discard it. Your client wants to store time series data, okay, in GCP. The downstream application will have fixed access patterns to retrieve data from GCP in a real time basis. Which storage technology? So generally for the time series data we always recommend the Bigtable. So Bigtable is the correct answer. Your client want to store historical data of more than 100 TB, okay, and the downstream application will have ad hoc access pattern to retrieve data from GCP in the interactive manner through Data Studio. Okay. So if there is a Data Studio, then always recommended the BigQuery, because BigQuery can handle 100 TB data, and always recommended to store the historical data. And using the BigQuery like a Data Studio, we can connect the BigQuery with the Data Studio as well. So BigQuery is the correct answer. Your client wants to perform predictive analysis on more than 100 TB using SQL syntax. Which storage? If there is a SQL syntax, cloud storage wrong. Bigtable is a no SQL. Cloud Spanner is SQL, perfectly okay. BigQuery is also okay. Cloud SQL will not able to store 100 TB of data. So we have only two options left, but it is the analytics. So generally we will recommend the BigQuery. You are working for a client who is performing POC on GCP. The security policies are not yet in place. What should be implemented as a very first step to keep track who is doing what on the cluster? So if we want to check who is doing what, then definitely we need some kind of audit logs, right? So implement stack driver monitoring. Monitoring is just to monitor the metrics like how much CPU is getting you. That is wrong. Implementing stack driver audit logs, that is perfectly okay. If we check the audit logs, we can check who is doing what. Implementing GCP native auditing, wrong. Implementing IAM role. IAM role is to prevent the access, not to check that who is doing what. Implementing perimeter security, that is wrong. So stack driver audit logs, by using the logs we can easily check who is doing what. How can we determine hotspots in Bigtable cluster? Okay, so what is hotspots? In the Bigtable, we have to create cluster, and as part of the cluster we create so many nodes, right? So generally hotspot is created when let's suppose you send some data, and all the data is getting processed by one node, and the rest of the nodes are not the data is not reaching to the rest of the nodes. So on one node it will create a hotspot, or you can say the network congestions, right? So when it will create, generally because in the Bigtable we store the data into the form of a row and key, right? Row key and value, that is a key and a key value pair, right? So if our row key is wrong, then always it will create the hotspots. So how we will determine? We can easily determine using if we visualize the key, then we can easily tell okay, it will create the hotspot. So hotspot analyzer wrong, key visualizer correct, because if our key will start from the timestamp, right? So first, like there is a key, and in the key the starting keyword is the timestamp, then it will definitely create a hotspot. So by visualizing the key we can easily tell. Bottleneck analyzer wrong, hotspot visualizer wrong, none of the above wrong, so key visualizer correct. Washing machine sensors post events to GCP cloud PubSub through MQTT protocol. Okay, so washing machines are sending some data or through PubSub. Okay, it is being observed that there are lot of duplicate message in the PubSub. Okay, so what PubSub will do is, PubSub is like we send the data to the PubSub, and it will like send the data to the destination. And the main reason for the duplicate message into the PubSub is that what PubSub is actually do is, PubSub will send the message from one application to the another application, and if the another application is not responding, then it will retry again and again and again. So if the other message is respond in a single go, then that particular message getting processed. But if the destination application is not responding, then it will retry the same message. So, and in that case the message getting duplicated. Okay, like the lot of message duplicates being posted, then you can say the same messages are getting duplicated, because they have to like retry many times. And when this will happen, this will generally happen when the destination is not responding. So topic is corrupted, wrong. Due to network failure, wrong. Due to data flow assumption, totally wrong. Fault code of publisher, no. Endpoint is not acknowledging, correct. If the destination is not acknowledging, what it will do is, it will try to resend again and again message. In that case, a lot of duplicate message will posted. Your data scientist who is good in Python, okay, would like to analyze and process the 100 TB data. Okay, which technology should you use? So pandas we can use, but Panda generally not recommended for this large amount of data, 100 TB. Spark SQL, yeah, Spark SQL we can definitely use. Generally it is recommended to use the PySpark and that is good. Like the data scientists are good in Python, so they can use the PySpark to analyze 100 TB of data. Cloud Composer wrong, Cloud Analyzer wrong, Cloud Processor wrong. So Cloud Spark SQL is correct. Panda is also correct, but Panda is not recommended for the large data set. So Spark SQL is correct. Your business user, non-technical, so they are non-technical, who basically uses Excel, would like to process the 100 TB data. Which technology should she choose for performing it efficiently? So they can't use the Panda because they are non-technical. They can't use the Spark SQL because they are non-technical. Cloud Composer is generally for the orchestration. Cloud Data Prep is the like automation. So if there is a non-technical person, they can also use the Cloud Data Prep. That is perfectly okay. Cloud Processor wrong. Which of the following machine learning can be used for making real-time object detection? Real-time object detection means like if the traffic is running, and in the real time we can tell, okay, this is the person, this is the moving vehicle, this is a truck, this is a car, this is a bicycle. So object, which algorithm we will use? Logistic regression wrong. YOLO, yes. So YOLO algorithm is basically used for the real-time object detection. Your client wants to deploy air quality measurement devices across the different cities. Okay, the data to be collected from these devices should be ingested, processed and analyzed in a real-time basis. Okay, so they told that some data is coming and that should be ingested, processed and analyzed in a real time. So as soon as we read the question, only one option will come into our mind, that is PubSub, because whenever in the question it is mentioned real time, we always use the PubSub. What should be the data pipeline? Send data to the PubSub, send data to PubSub, process data into the cloud data flow. So C is wrong. Send data to PubSub, that is okay. Send data to PubSub, okay. So A, B, D and E looks okay, but let's read further. Store in cloud storage, process in cloud data flow and analyze through BigQuery. Why we need to store the data into the cloud storage? We can directly put into the PubSub and then get processed to the cloud data flow. So option A wrong. Send data to PubSub, process in cloud data flow, store and analyze through BigQuery. That is perfectly okay. C is wrong. Send data to PubSub, okay. Process and analyze through Spark SQL in Dataproc. Dataproc generally not recommended. Dataproc only recommended when we have to migrate as is our Hadoop jobs to that, and even like BigQuery option is missing here for the analysis, so that is okay. And because Spark Dataproc is not using for the analysis, so D is also wrong. Send data to PubSub. Store in data store, again why we will store the data, that is wrong, so option B is okay. Your client is running multiple jobs on GCP, okay. The output data of the jobs go into the BigQuery and the cloud storage, okay. The client want to perform data cataloging for the metadata of output data. What is the best way to implement it with a minimal overhead, okay. Store metadata into a where file, perform prefer data catalog, correct. Data because like we have like one service, data catalog is like one of the service, like like we have the other service like Google BigQuery, Google Cloud Storage. So similarly we have the like a data catalog is one separate service that is basically used you can say to perform some data cataloging on the metadata, to analyze the metadata, which run some processing on the metadata. So whenever in the question it is mentioned metadata, so we always prefer the data catalog, so that is perfectly okay. Store metadata in AVRO, Parquet, that is wrong. Store metadata into Hive, wrong. And we don't need to store the metadata. Data catalog is already we have a service to perform some operation on the metadata. Which of the following products are not supported by the Google data catalog, okay. So which of the following are not supported? So BigQuery is supported, I think. Cloud storage is also supported. PubSub is also supported. I think data store and the Bigtable not supported, but we will see. I'm not confirmed, but we will see. Which data storage option is used as the foundation architecture of a Google data catalog, okay. So they told that what is the backend architecture of the Google data catalog. So Google data catalog generally work on the Cloud Spanner. Like backend architecture is Cloud Spanner because it is like scalable, it is multi-regional. So it is the Cloud Spanner. It's not the BigQuery, it's not the data store, not the Bigtable, not the cloud data store. It's the Cloud Spanner. Your client has a data pipeline running on AWS, okay, which store final output on S3 bucket. Your client wants to push the above output to the GCS. What should be done, okay. They told that one pipeline is running on AWS and the data is stored into the AWS bucket, and we want to pull the data, or you can say AWS want to push the data into the GCS. So how we will do that? From one cloud to other cloud. Copy data from S3 bucket to the GCS, a regular interval using shell script, wrong. Copy data from S3 bucket using Google Transfer Service, that is perfectly okay. Google Transfer Service is a service which is used to transfer online data from one cloud to the another cloud, so that is perfectly okay. Use a user account in AWS for pushing, wrong. Data transfer appliance is totally wrong because data transfer appliance is a offline service. Like we put the data in some hard disk and then we ship the hard disk to the Google Center, and the Google Center will like plug that hard disk into their system and then will copy that data. That is wrong, so option B looks okay. Your client has 450 TB of data in their own data center, okay. Their clients wants to migrate this data to the Google Cloud Storage as soon as possible, but the network bandwidth is limited. If the network bandwidth is limited, we will not use the online option. What should be the the data is very high, 450 TB, okay. So what option we will use? Use GSUtil, totally wrong because GSUtil is generally recommended for the less than 1 TB data. Copy data in data transfer appliance and transfer it to the GCS. Yes, correct, because we will transfer offline. Copy data into the data transfer appliance, ship it to the specific ingest location data and upload to the GCS. So B and C both looks okay, but one statement is missing here. Like we need to ship that. Ship means you can say parcel that particular hard disk. That is okay. Copy data into the data storage appliance, ship it to the ingested location. Data storage appliance is wrong. None of the above is wrong. Question number 44. Your data has a lot of features, let's say more than 1000. 10 features are categorical. Out of those 100 features, okay, you want to reduce the number or dimension of data before giving them an input. So to reduce the dimension, we generally use the PCA, that is the principal component analysis. That is like type of dimension reductionality algorithm. So we will use that. So drop last few columns from data set, no, totally wrong. How we can say that we need to drop last few columns? Maybe like those columns are very necessary. Drop only those columns which are having lot of missing data, no, totally wrong. Separate categorical data from numerical data and apply PC on the numerical data, perfectly okay, because we have the 10 categorical features, so we will separate that. Now we have 990 feature left, and on the 990 feature we will perform the PCA, because PCA always performing on the numerical data. Fourth option, they told that PC on the categorical data, wrong, none of the above wrong, so option C is correct. Your neighbor is a real estate agent who needs your help in developing a predictive model for property prices. So we need to predict the price of a property. So prime requirement is to have an interpretable model instead of high accurate model, so that agent can explain. So what should be proposed? Neural network, no. Regressor, totally wrong. Regression, wrong. Sorry, regressor, okay. Linear regression, okay. Logistic regression is a classifier, totally wrong. XGBoost, totally wrong. So linear regression is wrong, because like first thing is that like we need to predict the prices, so for that we need to use the regression algorithm. So linear regression, and also it is mentioned that the prime requirement is to have the interpretable model, so that is for the linear regression. Okay, 10,000 vehicle sensors are sending data to Bigtable, okay, via PubSub. Real-time reports are required from Bigtable at a regular interval to monitoring. The access patterns are having either time intervals and highway ID. They told that the patterns which are coming, they have the time intervals. Sorry, the access pattern, like how we access the data. We can access the data either on the basis of time or highway ID. How should the row key? So we need to design the row key so that the maximum write throughput should be achieved. Read the question, maximum write throughput. So generally it is recommended like we will put the timestamp at the back end. So that is sensor ID. Sensor ID is wrong, because we need to access using the highway ID and time. So highway ID, sensor ID wrong, sensor ID, timestamp wrong, timestamp, highway ID time. So out of D and E, only one option should be correct, because we need to access only on the basis of time interval and the highway ID. But for the write, maximum write throughput only will be achievable when the write will be performed by the multiple nodes. So if we want writes need to be performed by the multiple nodes, so we need to put the timestamp. Timestamp should not be the first key. So option E looks okay. So 10,000 vehicle sensor are sending the data, and they have the time interval. They want to access the data using the time interval. How should the row key be designed to read the maximum read throughput? In the previous question, it is the maximum write. A maximum write will be achievable only and only when multiple node will write at once. But maximum read will be achievable only when if only one node will be like read the data for that is data is being read from a single node itself rather than the multiple nodes, because if we read the data from the multiple node, then we need to perform some kind of joins. So if we need to perform the read from the single node, then timestamp should be the first key. So timestamp should be the first key, timestamp then highway ID. All the first three options are wrong, because they told that the key should be time interval or highway ID. So these are the sensor ID. These first three are totally wrong. So either timestamp highway ID or highway ID timestamp. But if we want maximum read throughput, it means the data should be processed by the single node. And if we need processed by the single node, then we need to put the timestamp as a first key. Your client wants to transfer data in GCP in the most efficient manner from the local file system. Which approach should be used to achieve data transfer? Use transfer service, use data appliance, use gsutil. So generally if we want to transfer from the local file system to the GCP, generally we use the gsutil cp command. So we have three options: gsutil cp, gsutil cp. So option 1 to wrong. There is a normal gsutil cp command, there is a command with m argument and with one p argument. So correct answer is m argument. M is basically used for the multi-processing, or you can say the parallel processing. If we simply use the gsutil cp command, it will like copy one file at a time. If we use the -m command, then it will like process the data parallelly. So m argument will be okay. P argument, I'm not sure for which purpose p argument will use. Your client is having an e-commerce platform backend by Oracle. Okay, daily transaction data is extracted, transformed and loaded from OLTP to Teradata during night batch. As the customer base is growing for the client's e-commerce platform through ETL, load is taking longer time and the business user are not able to view the latest report in the next morning. So how should we like implement it so that a minimum impact in the day? So what they are doing, that they are loading some data during the night, but as the data is getting huge, the load job is taking so long that it will run even till morning, and in the morning user came and they like start viewing the report, but the load job is running because of a huge data, so they face some issues. So how we can like solve this problem? Use data flow in GCP, totally wrong. Archive data from OLAP, so archival will not help. Implement data lake and offload data from OLAP. Yeah, so data lake is a perfectly choice here. Implement data lake and offload data from OLTP, so that totally wrong. Archive old data, that is totally wrong. So implementing data lake and offload data from OLAP is perfectly okay. Question number 50. Your client is performing analysis using Hive on the data stored in HDFS, okay, and being regularly retrieved from RDBMS. Okay, the data is frequently getting updates in RDBMS through causing a lot of duplicacy of data in HDFS. Okay, which data format should be used for overcoming the issue? Okay, so they told that like there is some data into the HDFS and we are using the Hive, and the data is getting update from the RDMS and there are a lot of updates, and because of that duplicacy is happening in the HDFS. So which data format should be used for overcoming the issue? Use store data in the AVR format, no. Parquet format, no. Store data in the ORC format. So ORC is perfectly okay. It is a row column format and it is here the RDBMS as well. So row column format is perfectly okay. Carbon data format, no. Protobuf format, no. So ORC format is okay. That is a row column format. And here is the RDBMS as well. So ORC is okay. Okay, so we have all question correct. Yeah, that's the end of the video. So let me stop the recording.